don't wear it, but we need it.
Because there are a lot of people in this country who do not like Black women, but Black women are the base of the Democratic Party.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Gotta hold on tight, never letting go. It has been here all along. In the fire, in the fire.
Subir.
wasting away, it's true. But I like wasting time with you.
Subir.
Quantic, run them bands up. Guess it's about time we get this thing moving. Welcome to the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to Free Zone Lou early in the game with the $10 super chat. Says I ain't blessed you in a minute. Mo Better Beats with Mo Better Blacks. That's what we do here, actually. Better beats, better blacks, better people. It's like Papa John's, but with politics and niggas. Shout out to Free Zone. Thank you so much for that. Like, share, and subscribe, people. We are moments away from firing up another show here.
So be
Got a lot of things I think I want to cram into this episode tonight. It's been a couple of days. It's been a while, I think, since we really just went hardcore political commentary, and I finally put together enough content to make a show and have a theme and a cohesive point and whatnot. You know, I like to storyboard my thing before I get up here. I don't like to get up here and freestyle. I think in all of my years of doing this, I've only gotten on this mic and freestyled like one good time. And it was a banger too. It turned out to be one of my best shows at the time. And I remember it. It was why black men need to openly vote against black women. That was one of the few times where I just got up on the mic and just straight off the top of my head for like 2 hours. Any other time I put together a whole film storyboard of what I want to talk about and the sequence of things I want to talk about. And sometimes it takes a minute to get that worked out just right. And then if I can't do that, I don't always feel like live streaming. I don't always feel like freestyling. That being said, though, I got a lot of content to cram into one of these shows tonight. AOC is on the rise. The Democrats are having a civil war between the regular gay Democrats and the terroristic gay Democrats, and the blacks too. I think the blacks are on the side of the crazy terroristic gay Democrats. You know what I mean? So there's that too. Got the MS-13 thing going on. David Hogg is making everybody mad because I don't know what the hell's wrong with these people. Who knows? But we're gonna talk about these things. We're gonna move lightly. We're gonna move brusquely from topic to topic. This immigration thing is looking really crazy for the Democrats right now. They're kind of spiraling right now. I mean, I don't know that the Democrats have fought this hard for anybody ever. The way they're fighting for this one El Salvadoran guy, it is an interesting spectacle. Oh, and also, as it turns out, we have a bit of evidence that the left wing of politics, I mean, we all kind of knew this from observation, but now we have a little bit more hardcore evidence that the left wing of politics tends to be the home of the more emotionally, intellectually unstable kinds of people. And I would argue it would also be the home of the less morally pure kinds of people. I mean, who among us is truly pure? But the idea of moral clarity, it's not something you really get on the left. There is no true clarity to their morals. If you really had to describe the moral scheme of the left in a nutshell, I guess the word would be power and vengeance. That's the moral scheme of the left. Whatever you do to gain power, and as long as you use that power to exact vengeance upon your right-wing enemies, mainly the white man, then you're in the game, right? Other than that, I don't know if the left really has a firm grip on morals. But they got a lot of crazies. A lot of crazies, very few morals. It's actually kind of terrible. It really is kind of terrible. But I guess the music is done, and that's a good time for me to start up the proper show now, since that's what you guys came here for. You know, you guys are like making official payments to a regular show now. I gotta perform. I got a monkey dance for Google now. Shout out to everybody in the audience, man. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Get comfy, y'all. Get comfy. We got a lot to talk about. American Man with the $2 super chat. He says, someone check on Anton. What happened to Anton? I mean, sorry, the Midwest request. The Midwest request. Sorry about that. The Midwest request with the $2 super chat. He says, someone check on Anton. I have no idea what's up with Anton, bro. I'm not really a avid follower of his. So, like, when he goes live, I don't really watch. I just watch the clips because the clips be interesting every now and then. I might start doing a little commentary responding to his clips every now and then, but I don't know what's going on there, man. He got trouble in Detroit Paradise. Anton was the one last hope. Anton was happily married to a black woman, successful, not complaining about his woman or his kids. He was the one hope.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Oh, you said the Pope died. What that got to do with Anton? Anton Catholic? I don't know. Anyway, we gotta move on with that one. Shout out to Anton. Shout out to the Midwest request. Let's get this show started.
A Maryland man thought to be wrongly deported.
Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
A Maryland man wrongfully deported.
A Maryland man who was mistakenly deported.
The Maryland man that was detained. The Maryland man mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador. They're not even trying to bring back a Maryland man.
He's a Maryland man.
Maryland man.
The Maryland man. Maryland man. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man.
The Maryland man. Maryland man. The Maryland man.
The Maryland man they shipped to El Salvador.
The Maryland man who was sent to El Salvador.
This man from Maryland.
A Maryland man of the case of a Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
Maryland man. Maryland man.
Maryland man.
That Maryland man.
The case of the Maryland man.
Maryland man.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, that's a Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
This Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
He had no intent of returning the Maryland man.
A wrongly deported man, Maryland man, I should say.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland father.
Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. That's the Maryland father.
Maryland father who had been deported.
There's this young man from Maryland.
You know what? It just occurred to me. Shout out to the actual Justice Warrior. I found this clip earlier today on Twitter, on X, and the guy that posted this video, because you know me, I'm just guerrilla style. I'm snatching shit from wherever. I don't really care all the time. But the guy that posted the video, apparently he didn't actually he didn't make this edit. He didn't cut the edit himself. And so he posted the video, and how I saw the video is on my feed, actual Justice Warrior retweeted him and said, the next time you steal my video, the least you can do is give me credit or something in the comments. And I was like, you know what, AJW? I'm going to steal his video that he stole from you, and I'm going to make sure to give AJW the credit. Shout out to AJW for this edit, y'all.
Father.
Maryland father who came here at age 16. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Maryland father.
Maryland father.
Maryland father.
Mistakenly deported father.
The Maryland father mistakenly deported.
The Maryland father who was wrongfully deported.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland father from Maryland. Maryland father.
This Maryland father who was wrongly deported.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland dad.
The Maryland father mistakenly deported.
The Maryland father.
He is not a Maryland man. He is not a Maryland anything. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States.
He was living in Maryland, designated MS-13 terrorist, and Donald Trump deported him. How does that make you feel?
I feel safer.
He gotta go. He gotta go.
Need to go. I mean, that's it.
But he was a father.
But he's still a terrorist.
Okay. I mean, but
There's children living without fathers now.
He should have picked and choose, so he picked to be a terrorist instead of worrying about his children.
The Democrats, they want him back. They say he was wrongfully deported. He has a wife and a kid who's a citizen. They're calling this a national emergency. Is this a national emergency?
I wouldn't call it national emergency. We got more things going on.
We have more things, more fish to fry.
I just found out about it, so I don't think so. What kind of national emergency? For what? What is the emergency for?
Ain't no national emergency, no.
He was accused of hitting his wife twice and was a suspected human smuggler. Was he wrongfully deported?
No, he need to go.
If he's a smuggler, yeah, he needs to be deported.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Your senator here, Chris Van Hollen, he flew to El Salvador where this guy was deported. He met with them, had lunch with them, had margaritas on the table. What's up with your senator?
I have no idea, but I do believe that was a waste of taxpayer dollars.
You agreeing with
Yeah,
somebody
girl,
whooping their
margaritas.
wife, terrorizing where you live, then you don't need to live here either.
That margaritas part was wild. Now, I hear allegedly the margaritas thing was a setup. You know, those clever Salvadorians, they put him at a table and strategically placed the margaritas on his table to make him look like an unserious person. Those Salvadorans are clever, but you got to watch them.
Senator.
I have no idea, but I do believe that was a waste of taxpayer dollars.
And big time with the 5-ball, he says F. Cuck Eric Holder, we cannot suspend black students anymore if their percentage of students is over the percentage of suspensions. Oh, bro, that's been going on for a long time. That goes back to Obama. It might even be a pre-Obama thing because it might have been quietly happening on the state level across the country. And then Obama just was like, you know, he just gave it the wink and the nod. But yeah, you can't get black kids kicked out of school. You gotta you gotta catch a body. You gotta Carmelo Anthony somebody to actually get kicked out of school for violence nowadays. You know, back when I was growing up, actually, I don't remember anybody getting kicked out back then. We just fought and fought and fought. You know what they would do? They would put the bad kids in the bad kids school. That's what they used to do. They used to be like a bad kid school, be like 1 or 2 around each city. I don't know. Maybe most schools are bad kid schools now.
Agreeing with somebody whooping their wife, terrorizing where you live, then you don't need to live here either.
Senator Van Hollen, you need to come see me, Mr. Coley, because you doing like that. You need to take care of home before you go in other states.
He went to El Salvador.
Oh, that's another country. Excuse me.
What has Senator Chris Van Hollen ever done for you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
For me, nothing.
Nothing that I know of.
He ain't do me. I can admit that.
I've never even heard of this person.
Do you want Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this quote unquote Maryland dad, living back in Maryland?
No. No.
No.
No.
Not if he's doing trafficking, no.
Why the want somebody like that back? No.
What is your message to the Democrats who really want him back in your community?
Why would you want that in my community? Bring it to your community and see how long you like it up there. Leave them, or y'all go over there with them.
You're focused on the wrong thing.
If they illegal come.
Why, Congressman, are you in El Salvador? You are there for an El Salvadorian man who was a resident illegally of Maryland. You're a congressman from Florida. Why are you in El Salvador?
Well, we're here because a man who had protected status in Maryland, a Maryland man, union member, worker with a citizen wife and beautiful.
You see how easy it is to just become a Maryland man? I actually had to grow up there and go through the system for a little while, you know. And then I abandoned it. I gave it up. I don't want to be a Maryland man anymore. That's a whole personal decision. But it was just easy for him. He just got to show up here and got a new name, a new job, and I'm a Maryland man now. It's wild.
Why, Congressman, are you in El Salvador? You are there for an El Salvadorian man who was a resident illegally of Maryland. You're a congressman from Florida. Why are you in El Salvador?
Well, we're here because a man who had protected status in Maryland, a Maryland man, union member, worker with a citizen wife and beautiful children, was taken out of his state and out of the United States back over here without due process. And for us, we're...
You know what's so funny? Right now, they're trying to tell us that this guy's really not MS-13. And then Trump, the White House, they put out an image of the guy's knuckle tattoos. Like right on his fingers, like, you know, the part of your hands where if you were to write something on your fist so somebody can see the words on your fist, he's got 4 tattoos. And Trump puts out a picture explaining how each one of those tattoos means MS-13 individually. And the left is like, oh, it's a doctored photo. It's a doctored photo. But the tattoos are real now. And the thing is, his wife that he's allegedly been, you know, roughing up, which I don't necessarily care that much about the roughing up thing. That's, you know, Latin love and Spanish machismo and stuff. But his wife and all of their online photos, she went back and covered up all of the hand tattoos, which is obviously a dead giveaway.
Citizen wife and beautiful children, was taken out of his state and out of the United States back over here without due process. And for us, we're here for a couple of reasons. Number one is because every person in our country deserves due process. And we want to make sure that we draw the line here at Kilmar Garcia.
Why, Congressman, are you in El Salvador? You are there for an El Salvadorian man who was a resident illegally of Maryland. You're a congressman.
Hi, everyone. This is Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari. After a long day, we have arrived in El Salvador. I am here with several of my colleagues to demand that Donald Trump release Kilmar Abrego Garcia, union member, Maryland man who was wrongfully detained and deported.
He was in the union? I'm not even in the union. He was in the union. He was protected. He had benefits and what? He had a 401k.
Has never been convicted of a crime and who the United States Supreme Court has ruled 9-0 unanimously. The United States must facilitate his return. Last night, I had a town hall in my district where a woman came and said her son, who is Salvadoran, they are scared to travel this summer because what if what happened to Kilmar Garcia happens to them?
You shouldn't be traveling. I thought you left your country because, you know, it was dangerous and whatnot. What are you poking your head out for? What if one of the people gets you? You should just lay low and wait for immigration to pick you up. Doing all this traveling for.
If there's not due process for Kilmar, there will be no due process for anyone. We want to make sure that Kilmar is still alive. We want to make sure that he has access to counsel. We want to make sure that the United States does what it's supposed to do, follow the Supreme Court of the United States.
The United States government is putting more money into helping Kilmar with his legal issues than it ever put towards me helping my legal issues. And I've only had a handful, but, you know, I could have used some help. I could have used a senator. I could have used somebody on TV telling them how I was good people and how my wife loves me, even though I roughed her up a little bit. I could have used that kind of help. How come the government never made me look like a good guy, even though I roughed up my girl? I mean, sometimes chicks get roughed up, right? Isn't that the Democrat situation? That's the Democrat policy, right? That's why they let the whole sports thing with the transgenders, because sometimes chicks get roughed up, right? Trying to keep up with the rules, man. I'm trying.
Process for Kilmar, there will be no due process for anyone. We want to make sure that Kilmar is still alive. We want to make sure that he has access to counsel. We want to make sure that the United States does what it's supposed to do, follow the Supreme Court of the United States and release him. And we are here fighting for the future of our democracy.
You know what's so funny? Bukele was at the White House the other day, and they asked Bukele, can you give us our guy back? Bukele's like, what? He's a citizen of my country and he's a terrorist. You want me to give you a terrorist? I can't just release a terrorist. What kind of person are you? You want me to release a terrorist? I think you're evil. Like, Bukele was clapping back at the media. It was dope. True Hype with the $2 super chat. He says, citizen wife noticed the lie of omission. Everything about this case is lies and lies and lies, all of omission. they all have to omit facts and whatnot in order to not look like the terrorism sympathizers that they actually are. You know, between the MS-13 guys with Tesla torching. Oh, and not to mention a judge in New Mexico. He just resigned because his house got raided and they found a Tren de Aragua member in his house. Apparently, he was invited by the wife because, you know, women. Imagine working this hard to be a judge. You're doing all the right things. And then your wife convinces you to bring this Venezuelan gang member in the house, right? And it's not like as a judge, as a man, you can be like, well, my wife said it was okay. They have rights. Yeah, man. Democrats out here looking crazy right now. Lasers with the $5 super chat. Thank y'all so much for supporting the show. We are just getting warmed up here. Big Time with the $2. He says, can we put those Democrats in Bukele's CCOT? It would be nice. They should at least take a tour while they're there. They should at least take a tour, you know, hit the gift shop. I hear, you know, they got videos of that place. The guys got like this huge workstation where they're all like making things. You know, they're becoming productive. They should take a tour because it's in your future. I hope you know that.
Everyone, this is Congresswoman Yasmin. I'm sorry, we have had a very long, productive day here in El Salvador. I've been here with 3 of my colleagues, strongly advocating for the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador, where he has been wrongfully deported to a prison here by Donald Trump. We also were able to speak with the family directly. They are very concerned and they want him to know that his family and the country is trying to get him home. One of the most important meetings that we had was with the U.S. Embassy. Nothing in the conversation leads me to believe that the United States government, aka Donald Trump or his administration, have taken any steps to actually facilitate the release and therefore comply with the 9-0 Supreme Court decision. So this is a constitutional crisis and issue. So now one of the steps that we've taken today is to actually write to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, again, requesting in writing that we want to see regular proof of life confirmation for Kilmar Abrego.
You know, and this is another point, and I'm totally stealing this from someone else, but I forget who at the time. Democrats are in this weird position of you basically broke the laws. You didn't apply due process to bring millions and millions of illegals in, and now you expect complete due process for every illegal that you want to get taken out of here, and that's just is an untenable situation. We're not going to due process every single body. Like, we're not going to give them a full trial and a whole list of appeals. You're not going to take it all to the Supreme Court. We're putting butts in boats, bro. That's what we're doing. We're putting butts on boats. That's how it's going. Old school.
Garcia, we want to know his health and well-being. We want to make sure he has access to counsel. And finally, he needs to be released. We also are working on a letter and have made formal requests about other individuals who are wrongfully detained here in El Salvador. That includes 19-year-old Andre Hernandez Romero. This is a 19-year-old gay artist who was coming legally to the United States.
Oh my God, what is America going to do without another 19-year-old gay artist? I don't think the country can survive without one more 19-year-old gay Latin artist. I mean, Jesus Christ. My taco's drying out already.
Through our CBP1 app process, and because of some of the tattoos that he had, which is absurd, was sent to CCOT as well. So there are many people dealing with this, many people who have been unjustly detained and deported here. And
sounds like El Salvador knows what a gangster looks like. El Salvador took one look at him. They was like, all right, to the left. Yeah, that's you. Big box down there. Yeah, it's your people. You don't know what a gangster looks like. El Salvador, they know. They know what gangsters look like at first glance. You don't even need a second take. It's real fast, like a Rorschach test. Just one look, bam, gangster. Bam, CCOT. Bam, life. That's how they give it up in El Salvador. And I heard things are nice there. I heard it's peaceful. You can walk around at night with your girlfriend.
We are advocating for all of them. We will continue to keep the pressure on. One of the most important reasons why we're here is because we know Donald Trump wants this story to die. He wants to be able to ride into the sunset and have defied the Supreme Court and not look back. And we cannot allow that to happen. We have to continue to put the pressure on. I hope other members of Congress come here and see this for themselves, advocate for Kilmar, for Andre, and for others who have been wrongly detained and deported. And if we have more updates, we'll be sure to share them.
Congresswoman Maxine Dexter here, coming to you from El Salvador. I flew here last night with 3 of my colleagues to demand that...
Like half the Democrat Party is in El Salvador. I think they just went on a vacation. I just think they went on a little Latin American vacation. It was like a little hotel that they're staying out. They probably got a discount. Probably all went down there to cash in on their timeshare or something like that. This is all a hoax. This is a scam. They're running a hustle. This is the op. They are running a psyop right now. They are all on vacation. They all got Latin lovers and stuff. This is all a scam.
Congresswoman Maxine Dexter here, coming to you from El Salvador. I flew here last night with 3 of my colleagues to demand that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be released. He is being held in violation of a Supreme Court order expressly telling the Trump administration to effectuate and facilitate his coming home. That is being ignored. This is not just a threat to all people in the United States who could be illegally abducted, detained, and transported internationally against their will, but it is a fact that our president does not recognize the branches of government and the balances of power. This is what we all have been calling a constitutional crisis, yet it is more severe than anything we've seen. We cannot stay silent. We must stay loud. I am here because I refuse to wait for something to happen. We are here to release Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Been talking about this all week, but Janae Nelson of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, she penned an op-ed in The Nation this week. And her op-ed talked about that we think that democracies are the way they die is dramatically through these wars and blood is shed, and it's cinematic in a sense. But really, the realistic way in which democracies die is that it's dismantled brick by brick, piece by piece. And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the...
And, you know, everybody's upset about, oh, my democracy, my democratic institutions. And really what's happening is, and we actually, I've spoken about this before. You know, when you see all the people being laid off at Doge because they had all these useless no-show jobs and whatnot. They had all these elusive theoretical government contracts to do all this wonderful stuff across seas and even in home country. And what it actually was, the political and social left wing of America was just having one giant global gay disco ball and everything. It was just one giant party paid for by the regular hardworking Christian Americans, right? And so all the gay disco people, they're mad that the party just stopped, right? Can you hear that in your mind? Just picture that needle skip, that when somebody skips the needle on a record, like the party just stopped immediately because Trump just walked in the door. It's like the parents, it's like dad finally came home. Dad is home. Stop being gay on the couch. Clean this place up. Who lit my Tesla on fire? And so they're really upset right now. They're having a hard time right now. And I'm actually glad that the gay disco is over. You can't scare me about the guy who ended the gay disco. I called the guy. I called your dad.
A sense, but really the realistic way in which democracies die is that it's dismantled brick by brick, piece by piece. And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75% of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records, that is why this is so important. Because if they could do it to them.
They gained a criminal record as soon as they crossed the border. That's why we know their names, because they crossed the border, bam, became criminals. That fast. It's really easy.
If they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. And to be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
I think. Are they going to deport black people? Is Trump going to deport the blacks to CCOT? Now there is an argument to be made about like the worst of the worst. And I don't even know if I would totally support that, but I like having the conversation. Maybe you can convince me. I'm not all the way there yet. I don't know if we should actually farm out our prison work to a foreign country. It's one thing to send foreign nationals to a foreign country. I don't even care if it's their home country. Once you snuck into America, you give up all your rights to be sent back to the country of your choosing. We will send you wherever the hell we choose. That's how it is. You snuck in here. Like, imagine somebody break in your house and they get to choose which door or window you throw them out of. That's not how this works, bro. You go where I tell you to go. When it's an American citizen, though, we should have caution. We should have caution. I'm willing to hear some arguments, though. There has to be a really, really crazy case. Some horrible person is like, you know what? Send them over there with the Salvadorans, right? Send them in MS-13 jail. Like, there was one guy who was like, I think he strangled some infants in the nursery wing. And then of course they were like white infants and he was non-white. He was a Negro. And he strangled some of those precious infants. Yeah, put him in MS-13 jail.
Say it, motherfucker. No. I just want you to know I'm thinking it.
That's right. And that's certainly part of why the African-American community is so strongly behind the supporting Kilmar.
Yeah, we are not for this.
Yeah, because as you just said, if they're going to whisk them away, what are they going to do with us?
What are they going to do with us? Oh, my God. I don't. What are they going to do with us? Oh, my God. They're gonna put us in a Mexican prison. They're going to put us in Mexican jail. Why they go put us in Mexican jail? I don't want to go to Mexican jail. I ain't even a real Mexican. I'm only a fake Dominican. I was only Dominican like once or twice, and it was late at night, and we were all drinking. I don't want to go to Mexican jail. They're going to put me in Mexican jail, y'all? That's crazy. I'm not going to Mexican jail. But I'm learning Spanish just in case. You're not going to catch me slipping.
You get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, like going forward?
Well, much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, you know.
Can the Democrats even be more centric and less woke? It feels like, it seems like to the Democrats, everything is such a deeply held religious issue for them that any move toward the center any attempt to moderate your stance, it will be seen as dancing with the devil. Like, quite literally. Like when Bill Maher went to visit Trump last week and he comes back and he talks to all his audience and he's like, listen, we got to stop acting like Trump is this incredible monster that no one's ever heard of before. His audience, you know, they almost turned on him. It was a little mini revolt. And he's always kind of upsetting the left, but this is the problem. You can't turn back. You have to go full left or nothing at all.
Followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, like, going forward?
Well, much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, you know. Old school liberal is what I usually describe myself as. But that's very often the opposite of woke. Woke would like people to believe that there's some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not. They're usually something that's quite opposite.
Woke has gone so far to the extreme. People are now, and rightfully so, people are now kind of intellectually picking apart the very structures of liberalism and coming to a conclusion that liberalism in and of itself is the problem. How can you be liberal without ultimately ending up woke? And so maybe we need to think of a better way forward. Maybe we need to look backward in order to move forward into a better position. And this is why you have so many people now literally looking backward at different times of history. Oh, we need to be a traditionalist. We need to be a biblical, patriarchal conservative or whatever. And it's because liberalism has gone to such extreme failure that it's like we got to start from the ground up, rebuild this thing from the bottom. It's not working. Everybody's illiterate and gay now. How can we move forward from here? The Midwest requests with the $2 super chat. He says Russian roulette deportation destinations. I will up your ante, make it a game show where we can bet. All right, so you get 3 deportation candidates. It'll be like the Running Man. It'll be just like the Running Man. We are so close to the future. You get 3 deportation candidates, and you get 5 random destinations. One of those 5 destinations will be like an empty slot. He gets a reprieve. He gets a do-over. You throw him back in the lot or something. But you gamble on who gets what. And here's how you make it interesting. With each round, one guy's off the table, so one destination's off the table, so the odds kind of change. Yeah, we got to make it a game show. Deportation destination roulette. Vegas is going to take it over. Vegas is going to kill me and steal my idea. Our idea. Oh, shout out to the Midwest request with the $2 super chat. Hit that like button, y'all. We got a lot of people in here. Do me a favor. I'm noticing a little bit of overflow, and I need to manage this crowd. So if you would be so kind, everyone in the main Hoodservative chat, there's only a handful of y'all typing in the chat. You know, Angry Snowman, Salahuddin, and all the people who are remaining anonymous. I count at least 30 people in the main Hoodservative chat. I need you guys to click this link that I keep posting in the chat and going over to the other channel, say hi in the chat. You know, I'd like to know that you're here and breathing and all that. Click that link, go to the other chat, say hi. Plus, we're monetized. So if you click that link, I get like a quarter of a penny if you click that link. That means if 4 y'all click that link, I might get 1 penny. So please help a brother out. Like, you know, I ain't got no money like that. I work an 8-hour day that starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. I be needing help with these things. Y'all got to help me.
Count it up, count it up. Let's count all the money. Count it up, count it up.
Liberalism was we should have a colorblind society and not see race at all. That's not what the woke believe.
Yeah, I would say
they're the opposite.
Quite.
Let's put race at the front of everything.
Yep, absolutely. Oppressor and oppressed, sacred, make a sacred the oppressed.
You get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean,
so Bill here, he's always been calling out the extreme end of the Democrat Party. And right now they're in the middle of a little bit of a war between the extreme end, as embodied by David Hogg and even AOC to an extent. She's extreme in her own right, but she's mainstream extreme, which makes her a little bit more dangerous.
Hey, I get a lot of comments like this. Just to address it really quick, we are not just focused on primaries. We are trying to build the best Democratic Party that we can. We are also focused on frontline districts where we need to flip them from red to blue to give Democrats the majority again, where there are younger people that are running there. We are going to invest heavily in those races as well, because of course we want our young people to come into majorities. So we're not just focused on primaries. We are also heavily focused on red to blue seats where there are candidates who are aligned with our values, that are younger, and getting them across the finish line to give Democrats the majority, so our young people actually have power to do something. Just wanted to clear that up. Thanks. Hey, I get a lot of comments like this. Just to address it really quick, we are not just focused.
So this is David Hogg. He is like the DNC vice chair or something like that. He's in charge of outreach and growing the party and keeping the members in line and whatnot. He's apparently turning on some members of the party.
So right now, let me be clear. This is not specifically when it comes to the candidates that we are targeting. It's not just, if you're over a certain age, you should not be doing this. Unfortunately, there are people of all ages who are failing to meet this moment in different ways right now. What we're looking at it's not out with the old and in with the new. It is out with the ineffective and in with the effective. And part of what we're doing with this announcement is waiting to see who retires here and says, you know what, it is time. I'm not ready to meet this moment anymore. And I know for a lot of our members that they will decide that ultimately.
Okay, I know. I love about you that you never hold back and you say what you think. I'm wondering, because James Carville said this was a crazy idea or a bad idea.
Yeah.
Now,
he also predicted we would win the election in a landslide.
A lot of people predicted that. That what is true is a lot of people predicted that. Now, he is definitely not a young person. I don't think even he would say that. He did help a governor most people had not heard of in an unlikely path to the presidency.
Totally.
So I guess my question for you is, why take the bait and attack him back? Why in this moment?
I think the fact of the matter is we say over and over again, we just need to listen to the experts over and over and over. And of course, experience matters, but experience is only as useful as it's actually working. We had $2 billion last election cycle, and we still lost. And I think part of the problem that we have here is a major brand problem at the Democratic Party. When people go into the ballot box, they're not just thinking, how am I thinking about my frontline member of Congress, for example? That's obviously important, and we need to support those members, and we plan to support some of them, obviously.
You guys do have a major brand problem. That is absolutely true. The problem is you can't accurately identify your brand problem. You think it's, people think we don't fight enough and we haven't pushed our LGBT agenda hard enough, and then you're just going to keep losing because you don't get it.
What they're thinking about, though, is what do I think about the Democratic Party? And that is the product, not just of one member of Congress, but all of our Democratic members of Congress and what they're doing and how they're fighting back. And the fact of the matter is, right now, we are failing to meet that moment around the country. And we're seeing it in our town halls. We're seeing it in our emails where people are saying, we're not going to give money until there's major changes in the Democratic Party. And I want to make sure that that is used productively in safer seats to build the strongest party that we can, because it's not just enough to be the party that is not Donald Trump. We have to be a party that actively is working to provide a better vision than Donald Trump. And right now, I feel like we're lacking that in many senses. And our young people are uniquely positioned to be able to meet that moment right now.
One of the things.
SKC, what up? He says, it's so ironic that the DNC chose a young white man as vice chair. Is that a silent nod that the best leadership comes from what they hate the most? Possibly. Not only did they choose a white man for the vice chair, but both chairs, the chair and the vice chair, are held by white guys. And, speaking of that, let me actually just jump right away to what's really interesting about that moment, the night they chose David Hogg, SKC, because you made that comment. Now I'm going to play this clip. I was looking for a good time to pull this clip up, and I had a slot, but we're going to pull it out of order now. But this is the night they chose 2 white men to lead the DNC.
Hello, Democrats. Hey, I am speaking, and I would love your attention. There is a Black woman at this podium, and I deserve your attention like the 11 people who went before me. Yes, I am speaking.
Good evening, Democrats. Look up here. 3 strong Black women standing before you. 3 Black women who, rather than just grabbing a chair, ran for chair.
Te quiero mucho, Papa. Gracias por todo. My name is Artie Blanco, Freddie Blanco's daughter. Vote for me for vice chair.
Look at this room, y'all. Truly take it in. This is the Democratic Party. We are our strongest when we stand together.
We are in a time in this country when our democracy and our rights are under attack. We're at a time where Black and brown people, women, and other minorities are being blamed for everything that's wrong with this country.
So let's fight together for a stronger and more inclusive Democratic Party. Good afternoon, DNC! Let me say something. Over the last several days, we've seen what happens when we have the wrong people in powerful places. And so today, I ask for your support in electing me as your DNC vice chair, because in a time of crisis, leadership matters. My people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We are sick and tired of being the last one hired and the first one fired. We are sick and tired of the...
And I've spent the last 15 years fighting for the American people, all 340 million of them.
Work to do to organize, show up, and win. And that is why I'm asking the people who have stood with me in this ride, because you know the work that I do to protect the vote.
Yeah, obviously there's more. It just went on and on and on. And so the Democrats have an interesting problem. Not only do they have like the ethnic issues, which is its own wing in and of itself, right? And even with the ethnicities of the Democrats, they're like wings next to wings inside of wings. You know, the blacks are splitting among the Caribbeans and the Africans. The Latinos, they broke away from the blacks. The black-brown coalition is all but dead. And so there are cracks in the DNC armor right now.
So maybe we need to have a schism. Maybe you got plenty different, the Justice Party, the Working Families Party, the Socialist Party. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word democratic.
Big Time with the $10 super chat. He says, the Democrats throw anyone under the bus and would step over the bodies of children to win. And now when one of their own eats them up like a piranha, now suddenly they expect loyalty. There is no loyalty. There is no honor amongst Steves, bro. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. This is all about power and revenge. We spoke about that in the beginning. It's all about power and revenge. And so the Democrats, now that they no longer have the facade of diverse unity, it just turns into a knife fight. And I like that. I like that about them. They will knife each other in public. Shout out to Big Time with the $10 super chat. Y'all hit that like button. Thank y'all for coming through. We got a lot of people in the house tonight. Support the show. Be like Big Time. Smash that super chat button for me.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
The Socialist Party, the only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word democratic in any title that you have. Because most Democrats that I know that are running for office don't want you your name, don't want you to be part of the deal. Yeah, they would sure they would be glad to take your votes. Who wouldn't? Everybody wants to get as many votes as they can. Maybe you come up with your own name. And by the way, nothing against after the election, can sit down and do like is done in parliamentary governments or governments around the world. You sit down and you say, okay,
did he just suggest turning the Democrat Party into effectively a parliamentary system? Who would that help? How would that help? How is that supposed to help? How does that even work? How do you make the Democrats, how do you make a political party into a parliamentary system? So like the Democrat prime minister is going to run against Trump or JD Vance, I guess. Like, what are you even talking about? So guy's losing it. Well, he's not even losing it. This is just how bad things are. Everything sounds crazy.
They would sure they would be glad to take your votes. Who wouldn't? Everybody wants to get as many votes as they can. Maybe you come up with your own name. And by the way, nothing against after the election, can sit down and do like is done in parliamentary governments or governments around the world. You sit down and you say, okay, we want to be part of a government majority, and we have these things that we want you to do to bring us in, and we have negotiations, and we figure a way that we can live with different parties, different titles, but under the same general philosophical roof. As I've always said, been very clear that most of the things that the faculty lounge or the density left wants, 85% of them, I want to. We'd like to expand opportunity for people. We'd like to expand people that have health care.
You like free stuff and gay, the gay parade. You like, LGBT month. You like guacamole toast, avocado toast. You like all those things, right? You can't have them anymore.
We'd like to do more to help young voters. We think that environmental problems are totally crushing that we face. We want solutions there. We think income inequality is a terrible thing, and we've got to do certain things to address it. Like, okay, we can raise taxes on incomes over $400,000 a year, raise the minimum wage. These are things that we can work on. I don't think we can work together on pronoun politics. I don't.
Whoa, James. See, this is how you get kicked out the whip, James. This is how they kick you out the Democrat whip. What do you mean you can't work with them on pronoun politics? Matter of fact, what's your pronouns, James? What's your pronoun? It just occurred to me, we need to check your pronouns. Starting to think maybe you don't belong in the DNC. Maybe you not like everybody else in the DNC. Why you ain't got no pronouns, James? They coming for you, boy. They coming for you. You better run, Cajun. You better get you some pronouns, or you better run, Cajun.
Minimum wage. These are things that we can work on. I don't think we can work together on pronoun politics. I don't. I think that you're not. This election did not teach you how damaging that is. I don't think there's anything that I can tell you. And you say this guy is stuck in another century.
Yeah, you know what it is? Carville wants to bring back segregation. He's like, all you gays, all you blacks, you guys are ruining my beautiful white party. All right. We had this party running smooth. Everybody was happy when the black folk put on their Sunday best and they went out and they sang and they was up and down the street. That was cool. That was cool. Everybody loved the Negroes then. The Negroes that went too far. The gays that went too far. He literally wants to bring segregation back to the party. You think you're slick, old man. You think you're slick. Just because you've been all progressive. You've been faking the funk this whole time. James Carville is trying to bring segregation back to the DNC. The blacks and the gays have done too much, right? That's all he's trying to say. He's trying to say it without saying it because he want to be like the Southern gentleman. You know, you still want to maintain that air of civil credibility. But just tell him, The blacks and the gays are doing too much. Tell the blacks and the gays to sit down and shut up.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
Come on, Jim. Just tell them to shut up.
How damaging that is, I don't think there's anything that I can tell you. And you say this guy is stuck in another century, not another decade, and he represents nothing to do with the future of our movement. I can accept that. You're not really going to hurt my feelings. So maybe we could have a kind of amicable split here, and we'll go to post in 2026, because you don't ever run. They never run against a Republican.
There is no amicable split here. This is why we have to actually not only maximize the mass deportation program, but maintain it for the next 5 to 10 years. Every year, we got to scour the books to make sure we didn't forget anybody. We might even have vans with athletic guys with big nets, like in the cartoons, guys with giant nets, just a big pole with a net on it. Dudes will jump out of a van and grab you. We got to keep the program up. You know why? Because there's no such thing as an amicable split. There's only a power struggle. That's all it ever turns into. Out of all the divorces that happen every day, how many are amicable splits? Not enough to count.
Okay. All they do is run against other Democrats. I don't quite understand why you're so anxious to have the word Democrat in the description of what you do. But maybe we can have a amicable split here. And you go your way, and we go our way. And after the election, we come together and see how much common ground we can find.
Hey, listen, I love it. If the Democrats break down into internal civil war, it'll just be like the Republican Party and like the new fascist America Party voting for everybody's hearts and minds. Like, that's it. It'll be the Republicans and the new American Fascist Party. The Democrats won't even count anymore.
We've also got AOC and Bernie Sanders going on a tour across the country, bringing in 10,000, 15,000 people into arenas. And now she's released her fundraising numbers, saying she's raised $9.5 million in the first quarter of the year, which is a huge
lot of money.
amount of money.
AOC has returned yet again to be, at least right now, what appears to be the future of the Democratic Party. Julie, I don't know if you would disagree.
I agree. I agree with you, actually.
But from our vantage point as Republicans, we would love that, because I think most American voters, especially those who self-identify as independents, are probably to the center of the left or to the center of the right. They're not extremist progressives. And so if the Democratic Party want to go down that path, I think it's going to bode well for Republicans in terms of our electoral success.
All right. Well, let me tell you why AOC is doing so well. And it's not because of
Do you agree with her, Julie?
No, actually, I don't agree with her in a lot of things. But I will tell you why people support AOC, including me at the moment. Because unlike other Democrats, she's taking the fight to Trump. And that is what Democrats want right now. And the bottom line is, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with her in the Green New Deal, whatever other policies she has. She and Bernie Sanders, with whom I also don't agree on policy all the time, are the ones who are out there taking the fight to Trump in ways that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not.
Is there any worry that those ideas could define your party at
listen,
all?
as opposed to the ideas that define the Republican Party at the moment, I'll take their ideas versus Donald Trump's ideas any day of the week. And so will most Republicans. She's raising money from people right now who probably don't.
You know, SKC, that is a great point. They are having an identity problem. And even within the party, they don't know what it means to be a Democrat anymore, because one of the low-key great shows that came out recently, well, a couple years ago, and it was like in the Marvel universe. It was a show called Legion, and it was about a character. He was really like the son of Charles Xavier, who had even stronger mental powers than Charles, right? But the problem is, Legion was a telepath with extreme schizophrenia. So he wasn't just one telepath. he was almost infinite telepathic personalities trapped in one body, right? So it was giving him all kinds of mental problems. And the Democrats are having a moment like that where they are just legion with different opposing wings. Some of the wings line up at times, but in general, they're all pulling in their own individually crazy direction. And there's only so long you can keep the center together. And what Trump just did is just put a cannonball right through the center of their party. And so now their legions are in disarray.
Won't even know what her policy views are, but they see that she's going out there and she's taking the fight to him, and that's what Democrats are looking for.
Let me just introduce James Carville into this conversation, because he had some things to say about progressives that I think will get on a lot of people's nerves. But listen to what he had to say.
Maybe we could have a kind of amicable split here, and we'll go to post in 2026, because you don't ever run, they never run against a Republican. Okay. All they do is run against other Democrats. I don't quite understand why you're so anxious to have the word Democrat in the description of what you do, but maybe we can have a amicable split here. And you go your way, and we go our way, and after the election, we come together and see how much common ground we can find.
He's talking there about progressives.
Look, I think that if we are going to be the party that criticizes Donald Trump around his policies on diversity and equity and inclusion, we as a party need to stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to bring diverse voices to the table.
Diversity no longer really means anything other than white man evil. And people are starting to notice that. Diversity is just like the reverse Jim Crow.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
We should be focused on the future, and that means a lot of different opinions and a lot of soul searching that we have to do. The Republican Party has a different thing. They have a retrospective view. Make America Great Again is a fundamental belief that the past was better than the future. If you're going to look at the future being better than the past, you're going to have these conversations. So to be honest, I don't think that comment's particularly helpful. I think there's...
What if the past was noticeably and objectively better than the future? You know, one of my favorite things when I'm like just scrolling through my feed on X right now, every now and then it'll be like a shot of 1990s high school America. You know, somebody had like a camcorder back in the day. Somebody from the AV club was walking around the halls taking video of people, and there'll be like these montages of America from when I was like 11, 12 years old. Like I wasn't even in high school at that time, but I was in school. I remember that American culture, and I look back at those videos, and it's like looking back at a part of myself. And I hate that that's just, not only is it gone, but it's like we severed our connection to it. It's like we don't even remember that used to be us, you know?
There's a lot of soul searching to do, but to dunk on progressives when they are bringing so much energy right now in red states and blue states would be a huge mistake.
With all due, let me just add to that, because I think you're so right on this. With all due respect, and I respect James Carville a lot, but I think he's dead wrong here, because the people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing is the establishment wing of the Republican Party. They're not bringing the energy. God bless Chuck Schumer. Him standing there waving whatever he was, on the Hill the other day is not what people are looking for right now. And it's exactly the people that James Carville is dunking on right now, who are out there, who are holding these town halls, who are holding these rallies, and people are responding, including people in the establishment like me, who's worked for establishment candidates my whole life, who all of a sudden is like, you know what? Maybe these people have a point, because they're the ones who are going to get us elected in 2 years.
So what have you had it with?
I would say we have a series of topics that I think sometimes consume, and other topics that don't actually get the attention that they should get. And we ended up fighting for the wrong things. We were really south on kitchen table issues. We weren't really good about the family room issues.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you 100%.
Okay, the only room we did really well was the bathroom. and that's the smallest room in
That
the
is
House.
such bullshit. That is total bullshit. That is buying into the right wing media narrative. And I'm so
No.
sick of Democrats like you selling out and saying this. You know who talks about trans people more than anybody? MAGA. Kamala Harris talked about homeowners.
We talk about it because it makes you look bad. The more MAGA criticizes the transgender movement, the more Democrats crash out for transgenders. It's just like the illegal immigration thing, right? There is no transgender, nation. There's no transmania for them to visit, right? There's no Transylvanian country for them to actually go to and grandstand. So it's not like with the El Salvador thing, but it's just like that. They fight for it just as hard, and it's just as bizarre when you actually watch them. Why would this woman? It's like you look like an upper middle class suburban white woman. You don't really look like you're really on the LGBT spectrum at all. Why do you care so much about the transgender issue? Why is it such a burning core issue for
The
you?
wrong things. We were really south on kitchen table issues. We weren't really good about the family room issues.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
Okay, the only room we did really well was the bathroom, and that's the smallest room in
That
the
is
house.
such bullshit. That is total bullshit. That is buying into the right wing media narrative. And I'm
Definitely
so sick of
Botox.
Democrats like you
Lots of
selling out and
Botox,
saying
lots
this.
of
You know who talks about trans people more than anybody? MAGA. Kamala Harris talked about home ownership. She talked about kitchen table issues. Trump's over there droning on about Hannibal Lecter. Are you kidding me?
Hey, look at that. Dirty folks, what up? He says irony. Rahm Emanuel was Chicago's mayor when trans bathrooms were implemented in Chicago nightclubs. Of course. He's down with it. They're all down with it. They just have to pretend like they're not down with it because they know it makes people uncomfortable and they look at you like a weirdo when you talk about it too much.
This is where the Democrats lose because we're playing the game with the rule book. They've ripped the rule book up and are cramming it down everybody's throat. And
No, I think
Democrats are upset because Joe Biden pardoned his son. We got to fucking fight. They're the gender obsessed weirdos, not us. We're the ones who fight for Social Security. We fight for Medicare. And yeah, we're not going to bully trans people. We're not going to fucking.
Well, how is it that the party attempting to redefine gender? There was actually a clip today. I might talk about it. There was a clip today I saw from the Joe Budden podcast. You know, Mark Lamont Hill, he's like their gay bestie now. And Mark Lamont Hill, he's getting into a little argument with Queen's Flip because Mark Lamont Hill wants to actively redefine gender. The active redefinition of gender is a Democrat platform position.
You can do it.
I'm not
If you wanna do it,
look,
fine.
It's all they care about.
I'm feeling compelled, given the debate this morning, similar to your remarks, Madam Chair. I recall a time in our country's history, not that long ago, given that my grandmother just passed away, where people like my grandfather were told that they could not participate in sporting activities because he was a Black man. I can recall a time in our country's history, Madam Chair, where people like my grandfather and my great-grandfather were not allowed to participate in processes and places in our society because of the color of their skin, because people for years, for generations, had told our society that Black people were less than human, that
a couple of years back, the whole phrase of gay is the new black, I don't know where it came from exactly. Like, there has to be one singular source for that phrase, but that phrase kind of took hold, and it was offensive in the obvious, like, why would you just associate everybody gay with everybody Black? I don't get it. But as I watch the nature of politics and the nature of, the Black social world, which is a left-leaning world, right? There is a heavy overlap with gay and Black. There's an undeniable heavy overlap with gay and black. The black population reports higher numbers of homosexual identification than all the other ethnicities in America. And that being said, I still don't want you to civil rights the transgender issue. I don't think there's any room in the transgender. I mean, I don't think there's any room in the civil rights movement for the transgender issue. And to attach it to the issue is just fraudulent. We got enough people in this van, bro.
Black people were animals, that Black people did not have the brain capacity to compete with white Americans. And as I...
Oh, God, you know what? Oh, see, I really was avoiding this, but SKC, you know, Kanye is, you know, yeah, Kanye, bro. Kanye, man, wow. Kanye released a song today where he admitted to having homosexual encounters with one of his cousins. He blamed it on pornography of all things, though. But that's a tale for another time. SKC, let's not talk about Kanye. It's all too ugly. It's all too terrible. We'll have to talk about that on another dedicated time slot.
I'm listening to this debate, Madam Chair, it reminds me of a time in our country where people generated science to compel people to believe in the argument that my father, my grandfather, my grandmother, my great-grandparents were less than in our society. And Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I would just say that the beauty of our society, the beauty of being human beings, and I hear that a lot from my colleagues across the aisle, that we should just all engage as if we are humans. So I'm going to compel us to remind each other that in the beauty of being human, we have the ability to evolve, we have the ability to grow, we have the ability to learn. Madam Chair.
Grow a dick. Right now, grow a dick. You don't have to pull your pants down in front of me. Just, you know, make it stand up. Since we can all grow, you know, since we can all evolve a penis. Please, if you would, man. Would you kindly evolve a penis for the audience? Thank you very much. I'll wait. Telling us about how much we can grow. She can't grow a dick.
Colleagues across the aisle, that we should just all engage as if we are humans. So I'm going to compel us to remind each other that in the beauty of being human, we have the ability to evolve, we have the ability to grow, we have the ability to learn, Madam Chair. And I'm just feeling compelled this morning to remind us that we have evolved as a society, we have evolved as a community to recognize that Black people are not less than, women are not less than, and that it is an opportunity in our society to remember that as we grow as humans, that we can include people, that we can bring people together in our communities, to meet them where they are, to understand how they experience the world, and to bring them in rather than pushing them out. And I want to remind us that we are repeating history, Madam Speaker, in this debate, and it is very, very scary to me that we are making a lot of the same arguments today about this subset of our population.
You know, it's interesting, American man, you know, you notice the gender split among men and women is only growing, especially among young men. It's all they can talk about. You know, young women are growing hardcore left, and young men are like adopting Catholicism. You know, I hear Catholicism is on the rise like crazy right now among the youth. And what I predict is, as the Democrats further alienate themselves from normal thinking people, they will dig their heels in. And what's going to wind up happening is you're going to find a lot of crazy, mentally unstable women on the left. Some of them will even be in office, and the argument to repeal the 19th will only start to just make practical sense. The argument will just start to make itself, because one side of our politics will be a giant seething mass of naked women with pussy hats, and sooner or later, somebody's going to be like, no, this is terrible. We're going to put a stop to this. There's no way we can continue like this.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
That my grandfather, my grandmother, and my grandparents had to be subjected to for years, being told that they were less than, that they didn't deserve the same rights as other people because of the color of their skin. And I feel compelled this morning, Madam Speaker, to encourage us to vote no on this amendment, to stop repeating the disingenuous arguments that other humans in our society, rather than embracing inclusion and encouraging folks to evolve as the humans that we are, to be more inclusive.
We can tell fundamentally a story that 1 in 2 kids in this country are potentially about to have their health care either undermined or eliminated, right?
I want this person to run for president next time around. This should be the face of the Democrat Party. This is who needs to run the party. Tell me why this is a bad idea. Tell me why Representative McBride is not presidential candidate material. You embody all of the values of the Democrat Party. Anti-white male, pro-LGBT, pro-trans, communist. You know, you wear glasses, so that makes you like differently abled or something. You hit all the bells. You are everything but a black woman. You should be the next DNC presidential candidate. You would get more votes than Kamala. You would do better in a primary than Kamala. Guarantee. You would get way more votes than Kamala.
Right, 1 in 5 Americans are seeing their health care ripped out from under them, that Head Start is being defunded, and that there are families in my state that are about to lose access to quality early childhood education, right? When we talk about it, we should just keep bringing it back to the people we represent, to the flock that we represent, to the families that we're protecting. And
look, yeah, dirty folks, and it's a handsome woman too, right? You take good pictures, right? This should be the face of the DNC. Just pictures on billboards, driving down I-95, pictures on little Stanley Cup mugs and all that. This is the face of the Democrat Party right here.
I don't think we always do that. And I feel like that's a cliche thing to say, but we've lost that. I do think we've lost that, because I think we are talking so often nationally that, like, in Congress, we forget that we are representing our district, and we are each messengers in our own districts. We can tell.
Look. And you know how to politic. You politic like a man, but you have the energy of a woman. This is the perfect candidate to lead the Democrat Party. You guys, well, AOC. You like AOC because she's a big booty Latina. No. That's that right-wing Republican shit. No. This is the candidate right here. A strong, independent, transgender woman. That's what you want to run the DNC right there. And none of you can convince me that this is a bad move. I haven't heard anybody offer any solid reasoning why that's a bad move for the Democrats. Everything I said, no troll, is actually true. You would get way more votes than Kamala because you check way more boxes.
We're not in this spot because we weren't correcting people and shaming people and excommunicating people enough. I think what happens, what human nature is, so if you're 90% with someone, but we excommunicate you because of 10%, the right's very good about saying, well, welcome on in.
Yeah.
Right? Welcome on in. You're being oppressed by the left. You're being silenced by the left. You're being punished by the left because of your, quote, common sense. Welcome into our club. We'll look past the 90%. And then you go into that club. And then
this is their strongest fighter. I'm telling you, this is the strongest fighter right here. All right, I will meet you halfway. AOC and the transgender from Delaware on the ticket together. Boom. How do you lose? How do you lose? AOC and the transgender from Delaware, same ticket, JD Vance and whoever, is going to be tough. I promise you. If AOC and this transgender from Delaware get on the same ticket, JD Vance is going to have a hard time. Because every time AOC says something dumb, the transgender from Delaware is going to start talking with his testicles and just clean it right up.
And human nature is you start to then adopt those policies and those beliefs too. And instead of being with us on 10% or being against us on 10% and with us on 90%, then you flip to being against us on 90%, maybe with us on 10%. That is human nature. Yeah. And, you know, we can continue to shed allies all the way until we have an exclusive morally pure club at the Gulag we've been sent to.
They know about the Gulag? Oh no, this the political skill right here. You are watching a master at work. Listen. Once upon a time, somebody was so committed to the game that they said, I will totally reconstruct my identity because that's what the team needs to win. He is their Anakin. You are their Skywalker. You can be the one who brings balance to the Democrat force. It's you. It's you. You're the chosen one.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
This is their Trump.
It won't even need to be that big.
Right. It'll have a cap on 29%, basically. Yeah. I mean, how are we going to defend anyone, including trans people, if we don't include a portion of the people in the 70% who oppose trans participation in sports consistent with our gender identities? Like the math just doesn't add up. And I'm not saying we should nominate those people. I'm not saying we should change our vote.
You do math like a man, but you dress up like a woman? Oh my God, this is a lethal combination right here.
It's on, you know, blanket bans that are both invasive and treat trans experience like it's one size fits all and every trans person is exactly the same. But when we're talking about an electorate, we have to be willing to have people in our coalition who are not all the way there, not only to win, but if we want to be in conversation with people to ultimately get them to our side on all of the issues.
Right.
I can see it now. Just imagine the Democrat slogan of what would it be? 2028? You know, transgender for president. And it'd just be a bunch of guys, just be a bunch of like what do you call it? Like normal looking right-wing, normal looking masculine guys. I'd vote for Sarah McBride. I'd bang her too. I'm telling you, that's going to be the DNC platform with Sarah McBride. I'd vote for her and I'd bang her. And they're going to run with that. McBride, 2024. Vote for her and bang her. I'm telling you, that's the DNC platform. It's unstoppable.
Democracy only works if you're willing to have conversations across disagreement and if you are willing to join forces with people who might agree with you on most things, but maybe disagree with you on some things.
I'm telling you, it's an unstoppable thing. With AOC at the VP to get all the crowd hype and everybody going, it's unstoppable.
We had won a competition with Amazon to come build a national headquarters here. It was a national competition. Every city, every state offered them more financial benefits. New York won. Why? Because they wanted the talent that we had. Even though our financial package was nowhere close, they were going to open a national headquarters in New York.
Remind us what happened to it.
What happened to it was the extremists in the Democratic Party,
Yeah, speaking of those extremists in the Democratic Party, shout out to Sigma Jones. Shout out to everybody over in the Rumble side. You know, we got a dedicated Rumble audience. I feel like I don't give y'all the love y'all deserve sometimes, but y'all a loyal Rumble audience. Y'all show up for me a lot. Y'all stay Rumble. It's like segregation over here. But shout out to the Rumble audience, man. Sigma Jones with the $1 Rumble chat. He says the transgender movement is why the Hispanic vote is moving right. Absolutely. Most of your immigrant populations that are newly arriving into America are largely conservative toward their own culture.
and there tends to be a Catholic base, whether it's Hispanic or African. There are a lot of African Catholics. There are a lot of Christian Africans, period, and they tend to be the ones that move over here from Nigeria and whatnot. And then with the Latinos, it's just Catholicism up and down and inside out. And they don't really like the gender fluidity. No fluida. How do you say that in Latino? I don't know. But they're just not with it. They're just not with it. No más. No más, por favor.
Anti-development, anti-corporate, anti-capitalist, they call themselves socialists, said, well, that's corporate welfare because you're providing a government incentive. I got it approved. But Amazon said, I don't want to be here if I'm dealing with this political environment.
And it was 25,000 jobs, right?
Yes. Bezos' point was there had been a delay in getting the legislation passed because of the opposition. I actually got it passed. By the time I got it passed, he said, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this.
That was what, obscene to turn down 25,000 jobs. Just shocking. That's not
Yes,
what
I guess. I mean, it's a really sticky thing because if you let someone dictate to you, it's like, do you worry about like our sanctuary status? I'm not kidding. Do you worry about that?
Hold on a second. There was nothing sticky about Amazon. They were competing with every city, every state. Every city, state put a package together. We put an incentive package together.
Yeah.
The mayor supported it. Then Amazon came. We won. Is the mistake. We won. Right. And then the extreme left said, this is corporate welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And
AOC is basically allegedly the reason why there is no Amazon warehouse in Queens. And honestly, in New York, period, as I understand it, you got to go like to Staten Island maybe to get some Amazon warehouses, probably in Long Island, but in like the Triborough area, I don't know if you really get any Amazon stuff. So it just makes the distribution a lot harder.
Created that whole political environment, slowed down the approval process. And then Bezos pulled the plug saying, I don't want to operate in this environment, which goes back to the Democrats have to learn the lesson first. Yes, focus on Trump, but learn your own lesson. You can't have this extreme wing of the Democratic Party running the Democratic Party because it doesn't work.
So AOC was opposed to it. Is AOC part of the extreme wing?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that was a really good question and a very direct answer.
That was direct, right? Yes.
Yes. One word, yes.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes the answer is yes.
So what do you think about her and Bernie going round now? They just did Bern Scheller. They appeared they're sort of doing stadiums, whipping people up. Is that an effective way for the Democrats to be talking to people?
Well, they have seized the anti-Trump moment.
Right.
And that they have seized effectively. And the Democratic Party is outraged at Trump. And there is a lot of anger. And frankly, there's more.
I see somebody in the chat asking about the COVID thing. The 313 says, I wonder if they ever asked him about the positive COVID patients that he was putting in nursing homes. And this is an issue, and this is why the Democrats are having a civil war. Although it's a stupid war in a lot of ways, but the mainstream Democrats have lost credibility. And I think that's an obvious thing to point out, right? With Biden and his mental issues just being the most recent case. There was Afghanistan and the pullout. There's a lot of things that happened over the last 4 years where mainstream Democrats just don't have credibility anymore. But the problem is progressive Democrats never really had credibility, and they take almost every opportunity to burn it down, like literally with the Tesla thing. And so like you got Cuomo up here trying to speak sense to the crazies, but you messed up. Everybody remembers
stadiums whipping people up. Is that an effective way for the Democrats to be talking to people?
Well, they have seized the anti-Trump moment.
Right.
And that they have seized effectively. And the Democratic Party is outraged at Trump. And there is a lot of anger. And frankly, there's more fear than anger. It's more fear. The fear comes first, and then the anger.
We got a good old internal party fight on our hands. David Hogg, the Parkland survivor and now a vice chair at the DNC, is now leading a controversial effort to challenge what he calls out of touch and ineffective incumbents. And he's pledging $20 million to fund candidates who will take them on. Why?
Here's the deal. You can have a great script, but if you have actors that are awful at their jobs, it doesn't matter how good that script is.
Now, this comes as thousands are turning out for the Fight the Oligarchy tour that features Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says that.
You know, the funny thing about a Fight the Oligarchy tour is that the Democrats are the oligarchies. Like, as a party, you guys are the oligarchs. It's a lot more of a guarantee to become wealthy to go into Democrat politics than it is to like start a business, right? If you start a business, you might have to start over and, you know, open up a couple of different ideas over the years before you really pop. You become a Democrat, you might just hit the ground running. The Democrats are the oligarchy party, like literally.
That they are, quote, capitalizing on voters' fears of Trump. And he is slamming both the message and the messengers.
Yes, focus on Trump, but learn your own lesson. You can't have this extreme wing of the Democratic Party running the Democratic Party, because it doesn't work.
Is AOC part of the extreme wing?
Yes, yes.
The big question is, do these family feuds actually help or hurt the Democrats? Malik, what's your take?
I absolutely love this. I want more David Hogg. I want more of Spartacus giving Cory Booker. I want him giving another 48-hour speech. Well, you know, that was his thing. He calls himself Spartacus. I want him giving a 48-hour speech. It reminds me of when AOC went to the border in her winter white, and she had that picture of her kind of crying at the border. This is great stuff. This is great. These are great ads for Republicans. Yes, these fights exist, is going to exist. It existed in the Republican Party when we were in the wilderness. And so you find that the Democratic Party, they're simply in the wilderness. But we are going to use this guy as the face of the Republican Party.
Addition or subtraction?
I'm telling you, no, the face of the party got to be Sarah McBride. Trust me on this one. Make Sarah McBride the face of the party. That's how you do that. Every time you get on the mic, you mention McBride and make McBride have to clap back. And that way McBride becomes a media magnet. And then the more the media focuses on McBride, the transgender from Delaware, well, the more everybody gets to look. And then we can win a lot easier. You guys are afraid to do the hard thing. You got to look the transgender right in the eyes. This is why you guys aren't really there yet. As a party, you can't be afraid to look the transgender right in the eyes, all right? Man to man, eyeball to eyeball.
AOC is putting out 15,000 people in places like Idaho. David Hogg is like, we got to take some people out.
Crowd sizes. We're back to this argument.
I mean, I'm just talking about energy.
Look, we know from the polling that, you know, if there was essentially, you ask who is the leader of the Democratic Party right now, Ocasio-Cortez lands very much near the top of our list. We had in our CNN poll, but it's like 10%, right? So it's, you know, the tallest of some very short folks out there. So, but I mean, look, we know that the Democrats, congressional Democrats, are polling at an all-time low with their own party. But David Hogg's job, being part of the Democratic National Committee, is to help Democrats get elected. It's not to take them out. You see it right there. I mean, the view of the Democratic Party over 29%. I mean, it's abysmal.
But that's not a bad thing. And
bro, y'all wilding in the chat. This is why I'll be trying to have discipline and not like say so many bad words and use so much profanity. Y'all really wilding in the chat. Eyeball to eyeball was close enough. I didn't need you to go one analogy further. That was one analogy too far, all right? Why? How come eyeball to eyeball wasn't good enough for you, bro? How come you couldn't just leave it at that? You were like, no, I could make it worse. Like, oh my God.
And listen, unlike in the Republican Party where they just capitulate and bend the knee no matter what's said, there's actually a process in which open ideas are welcomed. And I didn't find a lie in anything that David Hogg said. There is very much at the root of it, a lot of Democrats are pissed and they want to see more action. 100%. Chuck Schumer, do you think that played well? No, they want him up out the paint. So
Corey, go get him out.
Exactly. And like it or not, in this moment of uncertainty or tumult, if you will, AOC and Jasmine Crockett and younger people have been the ones that are grabbing. You can say that all you want. Don't pray for something that you don't want.
Andrew Yang, who ran in the Democratic Party, primary, remember that. He says the Democrats should be two separate parties. Same with the Republicans. If we were a healthier country, that would have already happened.
Andrew Yang is a friend of mine. He's full of ideas that are never happening in the next 20 years. So let's just. He is. Yeah.
The Democrats need to they need to split up. They should just go and do it. I don't know if you guys have a center that you can come back to anymore.
Great choice.
It's not going to happen.
I
but
wish,
it's a nice
but
idea. Yes.
listen, there's a place for both of these things. People who can be the national spokespeople for parties who energize people, fine, AOC, but you need to be able to beat Democrats. You need to be able to beat Republicans. You need people like Alyssa Slotkin who are going to win in places that Trump won. You don't win by running to the left. Unless, of course, you want Donald Trump in 2028, which might be
that's a whole other story. Everyone, coming
I think maybe black women need a chance to run the party, or maybe they should just have their own party. The Democrats should be the BW party.
According to them, the trans kids that want to play the sports, Lord have mercy, that is the biggest issue that we had. Since when? Since when? Find the little trans child that is ruining your life. Like, I mean, I'm just like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Black women, gays, and transgenders, and random, POCs, all the minorities and the gays and the transgenders can come under one black woman umbrella.
I'm sure you got to hear a bit of my conversation with David Hogg. The line right now that is developing within the party are people who are willing to fight and people who don't want to take some extreme tactics. What's your take on the situation?
Listen, one of the things that I was really happy about was when I looked to see how Q1 worked out for certain people. And what we saw is that I had a historic quarter along with AOC, along with Bernie, along with Senator Chris, I'm blanking right now.
Chris Murphy.
But I wanted, yes, Chris Murphy. And so what we've seen is that those that were willing to be out front, be vocal, and go head to head with this administration, we can see that the grassroots people, the people on the ground, we weren't getting a ton of money from big donors. I mean, on average, we had small donors that were pouring into us. So I will say that there is agreement that when it comes down to the base and what they're looking for is they're looking for people that will not roll over and act like it's business as usual.
Representative Jasmine Crockett, thank you very much.
All right, maybe it could be Sarah McBride and Jasmine Crockett for president 2028. Think about it. She's pro-trans. She's a strong, independent black woman. She know how to rock the mic. She makes good television appearances. Shout out to my man SKC, my big brother Coon with the $5 Rumble chat. He says, Rumble money has less tariffs. That is true. That is true. YouTube is like a bigger pool. YouTube is an ocean and Rumble is it's the Great Lakes. But Rumble just lets you get more bang for your buck. There are pluses and minuses. My man Thomas Sowell once said, there are no perfect solutions, only trade-offs. And so I shout out my man SKC, my big brother Coon with the $5 Rumble tariff trade-off. Thank you so much for supporting the show, bro. Appreciate everybody in here. We got a nice crowd in the building. Thank you all for being here. We are not done yet. Not done yet at all. I still got a little bit more to talk about.
We're losing trust in all of our institutions, the media, business, whole civil society. We're in a crisis. I don't know if we want to call it a constitutional crisis, but we're in as former President Biden was here, an inflection point. Look, I think what David is trying to do is to not just help to re-energize the party, but to help rebrand the Democratic Party. The concern that officers of the DNC right now, they have signed the neutrality pledge. David did not sign the neutrality pledge. So he's in hot water with Ken. I told him he threw a rock in the water, and him and the two of them and the officers, they got to get out of the hot water. But that's not my position right now. My position is many of these so-called safe blue seats, and I can get in trouble. Many of them are seats that women and minorities finally had an opportunity to come and sit in because.
Yeah, one of the seats I think in Florida that David Hogg is attacking with his position as vice chair of the DNC, he's actually pitting a black man against a sitting incumbent black woman. David Hogg is literally trying to get a black woman out of her government seat, yo. I don't know what to think about that. David Hogg is trying to get a black woman out of her government job, just like
because
Trump.
there are a lot of people in this country who do not like black women, but black women are the base of the Democratic Party.
I mean, go David Hogg, right? I mean, what else am I supposed to say about that? Shout out to No Guarantees with the $5 super chat. He says, you have Rachel Dolezal twerk vid for super chats. Is that even a thing? Hey, chat, help me out here. Is Rachel Dolezal twerk videos a real thing? Because if you want, I'll do it. I will do it. Rachel Dolezal is one of my favorite black women.
When I die, I'ma go to Snow Bunny Heaven. Snow Bunny Heaven.
Shout out to No Guarantees. Thank y'all for supporting the show. Truism, what up, man? I see you pulling up.
There were no seats at the table for us. So before you start wiping clean the menu and the plates and the seats, be very careful because many of those seats are in
as a
districts where we
former
are.
party chairman, Durance, how would you handle a vice chair who was going to primary?
Well, I'll answer and then I'll explain it. I mean, unfortunately, David, I'd have you removed from the party.
Damn, David. They really not feeling you. You're just a little too white and a little too male for the moment, David.
I don't give a lot of constitutional weight or heft to laws passed before 1965, right? Because nobody asked me and nobody asked anybody to look like me. So why should I care what some old white judge and some old white legislature and some old white president decided was right for me? Living under the laws.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but as far as the Democrats are concerned, the age of the white man is over. They might get you in your sleep, David. You better sleep with one eye open. The crazies in your party are not going to back down.
So why should I care what some old white judge and some old white legislature and some old white president decided was right for me? Living under the laws of the people who kidnapped my people and held us in bondage, that's not something they do anywhere else in the world. It's not like South Africa said, like, oh, that apartheid was bad, but you know what? We're just gonna like clean up some of these laws, and okay, now we have no. They were like, take your Boer constitution and put it in the trash.
David, the Democrats are gonna South Africa you, bro. You're about to get Johannesburged. Matter of fact, you're about to get Zimbabwe'd. The Democrats want to Zimbabwe the whole country, by the way.
Of the people who kidnapped my people and held us in bondage, that's not something they do anywhere else in the world. It's not like South Africa said, like, oh, that apartheid was bad, but you know what? We're just gonna like clean up some of these laws, and okay, now we have no. They were like, take your Boer constitution and put it in the trash. We will write another one, this time including everybody.
Don't let the Democrats Zimbabwe America. Don't let the Democrats Zimbabwe America. True Hype with the $2 super chat. He says, Rachel had an OnlyFans, so she probably has a twerk or two. If I can find a media friendly Rachel Dolezal twerk video, I will share it with the people. I will make it a super chat drop. I will do that because Rachel Dolezal is a great Black woman and she deserves to be celebrated with money and twerking. Literally Shaking says Zimbabwe. I think you mean Occupied Rhodesia. I will also accept Occupied Rhodesia. You know, I was talking about those nostalgia clips that people make on online. They make them on Twitter and X and TikTok and whatnot. And Rhodesia got its own little subgenre of nostalgia clips. There is a Remembering Rhodesia subgroup on the internet right now. And I gotta tell you, Rhodesia looked like a pretty nice place before you know, the Blacks got involved. Rhodesia wasn't all that shabby before the Blacks got involved. I gotta tell you. Once upon a time, you know, you might have been proud to say you were from Rhodesia. Not anymore, though. Not anymore. Nah, this is terrible there now. Speaking of Blacks being in charge, something else I want to share with you guys. Should white women just quit the Democrat Party? I was going to make some content. I was going to do a video about this, but I said, you know, I got a lot of stuff I don't really know how to make a proper video about, so I'm just going to do a live commentary on it. But should white women quit the Democratic Party?
For the next 4 years, white women need to focus on white women. Like, there's really no easy way to say it. For the next 4 years, white women need to be in community with white women. White women need to find sisterhood with white women. White women need to cross party lines and save their community from the shackles that are misogyny, misinformation, and quite frankly, make-believe. Black women are one band, one sound. We understand the assignment and we deliver the assignment flawlessly. Not to mention, Jewish women are quite literally right behind us. One band, one sound. They understand the assignment and they will deliver the assignment. And we're not getting that exact same energy from white women. Like, it is exhausting. Thank you so much for your allyship. Thank you for your allyship. But for the next 4 years, your white conservative sisters need your allyship. White women need to start talking about politics. White women need to start calling each other out because 45% is not cutting it. It's actually inexcusable. So for the next 4 years, white women are going to focus on white women. I think that is a good plan of action.
These blacks.
White women, what say you? Do we have any Democrat white women in the chat? Like, how likely is that? I barely have women in the chat, let alone left-leaning women in the chat. Anyway, white women, do you want to leave the Democrat Party and let the black women fight for justice for everybody? Hold up, Lorena says she's treating white women like slaves. I mean, yeah. It was always supposed to be this way, right? White women got the whip back in the day. Now black women get the whip. Angel Martin. I haven't really seen Angel. Where is Perfect Whiteness at? She be popping up in my comment section every now and then, but she doesn't really come around to live streams like she used to. Plus, I don't think Perfect Whiteness is all that left-leaning. That's why she was here in the first place. But white women, should you leave the Democrat Party and let black women take over it and, you know, get justice for everybody? Because black women, you know, I realized ever since the election, black women have been visibly and vocally disgruntled with the electoral performance of white women. Black women have not really been happy with the overall level of enthusiasm that white women have shown, because apparently a lot of white women either didn't vote for Kamala or voted for Trump. And no matter how you slice it, Black women are probably a far more, are definitely a far more loyal Democratic voting bloc than white women are, if for no other reason than just sheer marriage alone, right? Because married women tend to vote, right? Something about the sanctity and the divinity of marriage, it makes you a lot more right wing than otherwise. And so, because the women who are married tend to be right leaning, and more white women are married than Black women, you're going to get a lot more right-leaning white women. Black women feel some type of way about that. Now, you know what? There could be another solution. I'm not going to call it a simple solution, but here's another solution, right? Black women can get husbands and be more right-wing too. What the hell was I thinking? What was I even thinking? What were you stupid? Oh, shoot, look at, think of perfect whiteness. There she is right there. You do miss me. Oh, stop. Get out of here. We were talking you up. We were just talking you up. Don't see, that's how you know you are actually liked around here. Because we talk nice about you even when we talk behind your back. Shout out to Perfect Whiteness. What's going on? I haven't really seen you pop up in the chat in a while. And I never expected you to be a Democrat. What? Never. I would never put your name and Democrat in the same sentence together. But I'm glad to see you here. We are not done. Wait a minute. I got a couple other things I want to talk about, because since white women are leaving the Democrat Party and all, let's look a little bit more at the women's side of the party. These bitches are crazy, I tell you. They're nuts.
Hey, it's Lise McHugh with the Daily Signal. We are here today at George Washington University, and we're asking Gen Z what they think about Taylor Lorenz's recent comments glorifying Luigi Mangione.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems like this morally good man, which is hard to find.
And if they would date him themselves, here's what they had to say. We're out here asking people today, would you date Luigi Mangione?
Oh, I don't know who that is. The one that, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. He's kind of cute. No, because I obviously am dating somebody right now, but yes, because
You would cheat on your boyfriend to bang that murderer. You would. And I'm not even putting any shade on you. I just know that about you as a girl. Because, in your mind, really, you're like, well, what's my boyfriend really going to do? What's he going to do? He's going to kill somebody? Yeah, that's why I'm banging Luigi. Come on. Listen, women, all women are women. Girls are just this way sometimes. Most of the time.
I feel like in another world, he'll be a really, really good boyfriend because he's super thoughtful. I don't know if you see that graphic where he said he loved women. So I just think he is a feminist.
Oh, he loved women. Him a feminist. He be doing feminisms. That's what makes him a good man. Yeah, he wakes up. His morning routine is push-ups, herbal tea, and feminist chants. That's what he does every morning. Him a feminist.
I feel like probably not.
Any big reason why not?
I don't know. I just don't support murder, I guess. Yeah.
All right, she's cool. She's scary.
No.
Why not?
I just don't think he's attractive. Because I'm attractive.
All right, I believe you. Not all women are going. Not every guy gets every woman. Nobody bats 1,000. I believe her.
Want a career in the future? I'm going to say no.
This past week on CNN.
Hold on. Did you catch that?
I think he's attractive. Because I want a career in the future, I'm going to say no.
That is a yes. Any qualified no is a real yes, okay? You got to understand that about chicks, bro. That is just a reality, especially a question like this. Do you want to have sex with the hot murderer guy? Any qualified no is a reality yes. It's a yes in reality. All the qualified no means is right circumstance, you're totally going, right? I'm going to say no because I want a job. You know, she probably is in school. She wants to be a lawyer or something like that. If she was working at a Hooters, you put that same girl as like, I don't know, even as a bank teller, just a regular simple job like that. Well, it's a different kind of answer, but she has dreams. So she understands that where she needs to go, where she wants to go in life, she has to qualify her no. But I know you. All right. I know you. We all know your mama too. And your qualified no is an actual yes. That just, it is that way. It works out that way 95% of the time.
This past week on CNN, Taylor Lorenz, who's like an ex-Washington Post reporter, she said that women are attracted to him and would date him because they think he's a, quote, moral man, a revolutionary. What are your thoughts on that statement?
I think that's valid. I think people like to see someone shaking things up a little bit. I don't want to get arrested for this, but
I don't think he's had like a fair trial and a fair justice. Like even despite whatever people think he did or not did, like I think
that's your girlfriend, isn't it? You know what? I don't know if that's his girlfriend. He almost got that dude, bro, look like he's just banging her. He doesn't care what stupid shit comes out of her mouth. I'm kind of iffy on this one. I don't know if that's your girlfriend or you just keeping your mouth shut because you know. Why do I even talk to her anyway? Like, she can say whatever she wants as long as she let me stuff her mouth later. I don't really care what comes out of her mouth.
shaking things up a little bit. I don't want to get arrested for this, but
I don't think he's had like a fair trial and a fair justice. So, like even despite whatever people think he did or not did, like I think that whole instance is even like, you know, he's been wrongfully treated by the judicial system.
Yes, he's an attractive man. I think no one can dispute.
You know what that last guy looked like? He looked like one of those guys. Remember that chick from the other stream? You know, she's a liberal who secretly dates right-wing guys. He looks like one of those secretly right-wing guys. He just likes to bang liberals because it's fun.
Wrongfully treated by the judicial system.
Yes, he's an attractive man. I think no one can dispute that. But I think the way he went to put out his message was wrong. That man had a family and kids, and I don't think that is moral at all. I think he could have made his message clear in a different way.
All women have differing opinions. Obviously, we're not all attracted to the same thing.
Do you have any thoughts?
I support all women.
I'm not attracted to him, but I think he is an attractive man because he's very well read. Like I've seen his Goodreads, you know, like a 10 out of 10 Goodreads.
Remember, every qualified no is just a yes waiting to happen.
And I think he's very moral. I think he stands up for what's right.
What is moral? What is right? He just, you know, executed a dude. That was like gangland shit. That was a gangland hit. How was this moral? Where did morals come in? Who did he help? Like, whose insurance rate went down? Who got that heart surgery that they couldn't get before? Like, who got a prosthetic leg because this one guy got murdered? Come on, who did he help?
Do you have any thoughts?
I support all women.
I'm not attracted to him, but I think he is an attractive man because he's very well read. Like I've seen his Goodreads, you know, like a 10 out of 10 Goodreads. And I think he's very moral. I think he stands up for what's right.
I don't know if you can call him a moral man. I guess it depends on what your morals are. And as for a revolutionary, if his like manifesto came out or anything, then I might agree. But until then, he's just a accused murderer.
Tall Italian, you know, like what can I got some nice curls, you know? Yeah, I give the stamp of approval to Luigi.
Gonna give him that stamp, all right. Stamp that.
Okay, simple question. Do you condemn that? Can you take a moral stand and condemn that?
What I condemn is the violence of our system, and I would love for you to acknowledge that.
I'm not asking you to condemn the system. Taylor, do you condemn people that call for assassination?
Gosh, you're going to ask if I condemn Hamas next. This is crazy. I would love for you to acknowledge what I'm actually saying, Sean, and we seem to be talking past each other. I want to talk about the fact that half of all adults delayed because of cost. We need to talk about that 70% of Americans, by the way, believe that the insurance company practices are responsible in part for Thompson's death. These are signs of an unhealthy...
You want to put a rationalization. I am saying anybody that wants to assassinate any innocent person is wrong. I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican or a father or a husband. And I speak that is a simple truth that anyone with a heart would easily say on national TV that you're having a hard time with.
If you want to prevent further deaths and you don't want gun violence in the street, which I think we both are aligned in wanting, right? We want peace. We do not want violence in this country, no matter what side of the political aisle it's coming from. You need to understand motives and you need to understand the ideology that people have.
Now, Taylor Lorenz was featured in a piece about political extremism recently where, just like a lot of the girls we just watched, she was totally willing to blow Luigi for freedom. She would blow Luigi for progressive justice. And now that little clip went viral, she's here on Hannity pretending like it never happened. Now she acts like she would totally not blow Luigi. Come on, just be honest. And Taylor Lorenz, you're looking kind of hit lately.
And that is what
my job is. Why don't you first start with the basics? I'm going to help you out. Why don't you first condemn those that want to be involved in assassination and stop talking about them being handsome and smart and intelligent? And
I didn't say that I believe that. I am describing his supporters who do believe that. And I think it's very important, just the way that I would try to understand the ideology
Will you
of,
condemn his supporters?
the people that march to Unite the Right rally. I would try to understand the ideology of anyone that would advocate for violence in this country, no matter what it is.
Supporters?
Once again, I believe in free speech. I believe in free speech. If they have not committed any crimes, the supporters are outside just saying things. They're not committing any sort of acts of violence.
You won't condemn his supporters. You won't say what they're doing is repulsive.
Once again, Sean, I believe in free speech and the right to free expression. I seem to be in the minority.
There's a difference between assassination and speech. Do you condemn those that support violence and, in this case, praise Luigi Mangione?
I feel like we're living in a moment very similar to the Salem witch trials, where, long story short, the overall gist of the Salem witch trials was a small town was basically held hostage by the accusations of women. You know, I accuse you of being a witch. I accuse you of witchcraft. Most of the accusations were coming from women, and the women obviously will be the ones who get more hyped up about this kind of thing, and it becomes an issue, then the town's got to do something about it. And I think the whole thing kind of came to an end where some woman accused the wrong guy. And they were like, all right, look, we're going to start smacking bitches, or you're going to stop this shit. And that was basically, you know, long story short, but that was basically the Salem witch trials. And it seems to me we're in a weird moment like that, where we have just a lot of imbalanced yet empowered people, mostly women, making rules and telling everyone else how to go. And I found this conversation earlier. I want to listen to this. I haven't really previewed much of it, but they're talking about, look, the left is the natural political home of cluster B personality disorders, and how cognitive distortions, the great untruths discussed by, I'm sorry, I'm reading this all wrong, but the left is the natural political home of cluster B personality disorders.
So they talked about it on, I'll go over it real quickly, in The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff. And I think Haidt mentioned that Greg, had severe depression, and he was suicidal. He almost killed himself one night, right? And so he learned cognitive behavioral therapy. He checked himself into the mental hospital, and they taught him some cognitive behavioral therapy at some point. And he was able to, that really kind of helped him like get back on track and not have suicidal ideation as much or at all. But he noticed, and I don't know if you remember this aspect of it, is why I'm bringing it up. he noticed one of the things that made them write that book. He brought it up to Jonathan Haidt, the social psychologist, that kids on college campuses were exhibiting cognitive distortions, basically exhibiting the exact opposite of what he's taught to do or to look out for in CBT, right? Things like catastrophizing, expecting the worst possible outcome, magnification, minimization, exaggerating the importance of negative aspects while downplaying positive ones.
Sounds like women we've known. Real quick, I think I'm a little bit behind on this, but shout out to Latin Patriot with the $2 Rumble chat. She says, thank you for sharing and not being stingy for allowing a mention and a shout out. Yeah, I think Latin Patriot had Donovan's channel posted in the chat room. And shout out to my man Donovan Warland, longtime content creator. I listened to a lot of his stuff over the years. Got a really great channel, just a lot of simple conversation and wisdom, a lot of obscured knowledge about America and stuff like that. I like his channel. Subscribe to Donovan Warland, you guys. Laundry 58 with the $5 Rumble chat says, long overdue, keep cooking hood. Thank you guys so much. Like I've been saying, this whole gulag is listener supported, and you guys have been very helpful in your support over the years. I can't thank you all enough. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit that like button. Thank you all so much for donating to the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we're going to wrap this up in just a minute, but smash that Cash App button from you guys. Thank y'all so much.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry! You not like Hulk angry! Hulk no like fighting girls.
And you know, I keep saying Cash App, but I meant Super Chat. I'm not on Cash App. I don't know how I'm gonna find my way back on Cash App. Maybe Trump has to be president for a couple of more years, and then they'll let me back in. We'll see. But smash that Super Chat button.
Which you see a lot, I think, in a lot of these critical theory classes, right? Like, if it's like gender studies, then they're going to be talking about the whole time about how bad men are, right? How bad males are. And they never talk about the good parts of what men have provided. Like that probably doesn't ever come up. And that's why you have girls coming out of college saying, wouldn't the world be better without men? Not realizing that like men mine every fucking metal and resource on earth and build.
You know, it's not just that the left attracts cluster B personality types. I would venture to argue that the culture of the left-wing culture in itself, as embodied by our national college university system, it actually it encourages the manifestation of these alleged cluster B personality types for the very reasons he just laid out, because you basically trap people in an environment where they're not only given one side of the story, but that one side is like reinforced. It's forced upon you. It's socially enforced on you. You become a pariah. You maybe don't pass your classes if you don't actually adopt or internalize these ideas. And once you do that, you're now living with contradiction, and living with contradiction is the path to mental instability. And so I argue that not only does the left attract cluster B personality types or whatever else you want to describe them as, it produces them. It generates them.
Built all the cities and
princess lifestyle because of men.
Yeah, invented almost everything. You know, not to say that men are so much more important than women, but boy, is that important, right? What's emotional reasoning is another cognitive distortion. I'm assuming that feelings are an accurate reflection of reality, leading to negative interpretations of situation. So a lot of this stuff you see through wokeness, like, right. And he said, and him and Haidt kind of came to the conclusion that colleges and maybe even like woke therapy and the way we're raising our children, a lot of different things are coming together to teach kids that, you know, this is the way you should think about things. Like cognitive distortions is the right way. Always
Cognitive distortion. I like that word. I got to remember that. Cognitive distortion. That is a great way to describe the leftist prism. Nick Taylor with the $5 super chat. He says, "What up, Hood? Why you let that biggin beat up them two girls?" Hey, man, she been beating them two girls up for like 4 years now, bro. It never ends. That beating never stops, bro. And the Clue Channel with the $5 super chat. He says, "Great show, Hood. Thank you so much." I don't know if I didn't mention this before. Tonight, this very show is a little bit of a test run, and I've been trying to work on my discipline and my professionalism as a streamer, I guess, right? As a monetized live streamer, right? Because we got rules and stuff now that I'm monetized, and I want to be me. I can only be me, but I want to observe the rules because I like getting official money from the government and corporations and stuff.
Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga. Don't send Toby away.
But tonight I was testing out. This live stream was the very first fully monetized live stream. And so that requires me to maintain a little discipline and as well as keep myself focused and not, let my mouth fly off, not let my mind wander into dangerous territory. And I think we did a bang up job. And so after I close this show out in a few minutes, hopefully this can stay up as a fully monetized show. And I want to run it like that from now on. But thank you for the $5 super chat, Hood. I'm going to try, Clue Channel. I'm going to try to keep it up for you guys. This is what we want to do from now on.
Trust your feelings is one of them, right? This is one of the great untruths they mentioned. So I think it kind of goes side by side with what you're saying with the cluster B stuff. Maybe, I don't know what you think about this, that maybe it's helping push kids and woke people and even adults into like being more cluster B or being more narcissistic or borderline, because these are probably things that could be developed through having the opposite of a proper character development. It's not always perhaps based on
left-wing culture doesn't engender proper character development. And yes, Carmen, we'll still be on Rumble having, ratchetry. I'm thinking about a show that's probably going to be mostly on Rumble, actually, but not tonight. Not tonight. Probably next time we'll go to Rumble and have more fun and have a panel and all that.
Personality or not always based on childhood trauma or neglect, although that's a big part of it often. But it also could just be something developed that people reward and nobody calls them out on, right? So.
How much of left-wing culture is actually deeply motivated by what people call childhood trauma? I mean, I just call it growing up, but childhood trauma, I guess if you want to put a name on it. I imagine most childhoods had a traumatic moment or two, but some people really go through it.
What do you think about that?
Yes. Well, yes. That's why I keep saying yes.
Okay.
We're all talking about the same phenomena.
Yeah.
I do not. So a personality disorder, to be diagnosable, like if you were to go to a clinician and really get formally diagnosed, that's a severe mental distortion. Personality disorders are not light and easy mental illnesses. They are, in fact, the worst and most intransigent.
Indeed.
There are exceptions, and you're going to get. Well, you may get flooded with complaining. Not all people who say, "Why didn't Josh say that in this case?" Blah 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 blah. I'm not playing that game. Everybody, audience, supply your own not alls. You're all grown-ups. You all can understand.
Yeah,
that.
You can only do that so many times before you want to put a bullet in the head.
But for the most part, most cluster B personality disorder people are not going to get better. Most of them don't have the capability. They don't think there's anything wrong with them.
What I'm hearing is you can't really fix liberals. That's what helicopters are for, actually. That's a tale for another time as
They
well.
think they are the ones who are right and everyone else has a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not proposing that the majority of leftists have a personality disorder. Here's what I am proposing. Number one,
Well, I'm not going to propose that the majority of leftists have a personality disorder. What I would propose is that the majority of personality disorders, the majority of people who would be diagnosed as having a personality disorder would almost automatically fall on the left politically. You just wouldn't be socially accepted on the right wing. And that ostracization alone would force you to the left. Plus, even if you didn't want to be on the right wing, your personality disorders would just put you around left-wing people anyway.
That the left today is the natural home of this kind of psychology, this kind of cluster B psychology, not the right. It's not both sides.
Yep.
Yes, people of all political persuasions can have these psychological problems. No, it's not symmetrical. It is the left today.
Yeah, it is.
And so, yeah, we're not going to play that. I'm not going to make people feel better by saying, well, you know, but also on the right, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's actually part of the cluster B game.
Yep.
But I am saying that even people.
And thank you for not giving me the both sides. That, like he said, that's another strategy of the crazy narcissistic people.
Even people who do not have a fully diagnosed.
It's a great shot of the Manhattan Bridge in the background, by the way.
Diagnosable personality disorder are far more baseline narcissistic and enact cluster B behaviors at a far higher rate than the background population did even 20 years ago, but certainly much more than 40 years ago.
It's insanity to me because it's almost as if it's been induced over the span of time. It
has been. It has been. And you're right.
I'm sorry. Well, I have noticed this in advertisements.
Yes.
Like there's so much more focus on you deserve. You deserve.
You know what I've noticed lately? They're advertising therapy. They're advertising people, you know, talking to a therapist, a psychologist. Like if you watch YouTube videos, what's that one thing like BetterHelp? BetterHelp, they got a ton of YouTube videos and commercials, right? And so it's like we're encouraging people to be mentally codependent as well. So we're creating mentally unstable people, unstable people. And then we're also giving these people an avenue to exist permanently with their mental instability. We're offering them a path to codependency. Dick Thug with the $5 super chat. He says, remember how Trump brought up the study of the increased number of autism? Could it be that? I think that's a phenomenon that's related to it. Maybe not as directly as what we were talking about, but it's probably worked in there as well. Like outside of people with like a high functioning autism, like an Asperger's, again, any mental illness or any mental abnormality would more than likely push you toward the left, right? So unless you literally count trains, yeah, you're probably left wing and autistic, right?
This is
nothing's
journey.
More important than your vision.
Exactly.
Break all boundaries.
You're amazing.
Never accept no.
You're amazing.
Yes,
you do that a lot. Everybody's fucking amazing, like Spider-Man.
You know what? I actually see that type of corporate writing. When I go to work, I see that type of corporate writing. It's in Amazon facilities and stuff like that, and I just think about it when I write. I remember years ago, it's had to be almost 20 years ago. It had to be about 20-some years ago at this point. My very first corporate-ish environment, and corporate-ish. I did work in an office briefly for a period, but it was more of a like an internship thing. But my first actual job that was something like a corporate job. I worked at a hotel for like a brand name hotel, and we would have like little company meetings, and we even had like a company kind of like party type of thing where it was like a picnic where we did little goofy games together and stuff. It was fun at the time. I'm not going to say I didn't have a good time, you know, hanging out, having little goofy fun interactions, right? But I was always struck by the phoniness of corporate family. The idea of corporate family and all the little corporate sayings that you hear, they always strike me as empty and hollow. And it's like, maybe if you're not a thinking kind of person, these ideas motivate you. But for me, reading these little corporate mantras and phrases, there's a little guy in me that every time I read these little corporate power phrases, I'm like, fuck you.
Like, how I got everybody for what? Yeah,
it's like this whole
these words that like used to mean extreme positive stuff is now just everybody's amazing. Not everybody can be amazing. All right.
Right.
Okay.
If every and that's something that you touched on a while ago.
This is very woman oriented. There's the feminine narcissism.
Yeah.
This is I'm afraid this is not equally sexed. The problem is far more on the woman's side right now.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
And we've tracked this as well. This is why way more women are left leaning than men. I don't even know how to count the ratio at this point, but there are just a lot more women on the left. This is why you have that phenomenon of guys who are outwardly right leaning. Like even Pax the other night, Pax Americana, he said flat out, I like to bang liberal chicks, right? And he describes himself as like a right-wing white nationalist, right? And what I think the phenomenon is just target abundance. It's just easier because there's just so many more opportunities over there because there's so many more women and they're crazy. So you can probably hit easier. Women that aren't that crazy don't let you hit that easy. That's kind of the downside of the non-crazy chicks. You kind of have to like actually, you know, show value. Sucks. Trying to get some pussy and you trying to be a good woman and shit.
Women are out of control. They're absolutely out of control.
Some of them are, man,
They are
especially on the left.
rewarded for enacting narcissistic, borderline, and often sociopathic behaviors. They are applauded and said that they are described as being strong women. Look at Hollywood. We've got
No.
movies now.
No, not even Hollywood. Look at black women. Black women are the primary beneficiary of the strong woman trope. And it's gone so far that there is an open sexual revolt among black men. You just have this online and sometime even in real world hostility between black men and black women. And a lot of that has to do with this constant this drumbeat of positive affirmation. You're strong, you're independent, you deserve better, you deserve more, he should be doing more, you can do better. And it just makes the people who hear that, the people who embody that, the black women that we're talking about, it makes them unlikable. And this is something that I kind of been talking about a lot too, just the nature of left-wing culture. It makes the women unlikable. You know, when I talk about fathers not really liking their daughters growing into modern women, it makes you unlikable. There's something lost in modernity, and these guys are kind of getting to the heart of it now, but it's just a thing that we kind of all collectively have begun to talk about
now, that are giving the sympathetic backstory to the villainess.
Yeah.
They did it with Cruella de Vil. They did it with Maleficent. They're doing it with
the Marvels. The Marvels.
You know, all of them recently, right?
Yeah, they do it a lot. Yeah.
And there are a lot of men who are partaking of this too.
You know, that's actually a different kind of concept. If you actually get into like literature, more literary themes, one of the reasons why a character like Wolverine is so iconic, or even a Deadpool kind of took more of Wolverine's shine lately. Deadpool has kind of dethroned Wolverine as America's favorite anti-hero. Can a female character successfully be an anti-hero? When they describe Maleficent, and I actually did kind of like that movie. I took one of my daughters, I think my oldest daughter and I, or at least maybe my two daughters, we watched Maleficent together. And it was Angelina Jolie. I forget all the plot to the story, but they're pretty accurate. They did give this allegedly evil character a sympathetic backstory, thus making her an anti-hero in some way. And I'm wondering, do women, can a woman pull off the anti-hero thing successfully? Like, has it been done? Clue is telling me no. Sarah Connor wasn't an anti-hero. There was not even close. Sarah Connor was a traditional hero with a story arc and a masculine kind of ethic. And Sarah Connor, and this is what, you know, they talk about female characters. This is why we had, and even these guys, we're having this sort of critique, this really scathing critique of modern female characters, because it's like they're writing women wrong. No one ever said that a woman can't play an action character. We've had female action heroes way before the modern Marvel era. But women, you know, that one chick who played Ms. Marvel or whatever, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, she acted like she was the very first female action hero. It was like, women been doing this for a long time. And the thing is, they started writing the women character a lot differently than they used to. And I think they made women Mary Sues. And you're more likely to find a Mary Sue than an actual anti-hero that like works as a woman. But I kind of got off into a tangent here thinking about movies and female characters. But it's a question, though. This is a philosophical point now. Do we have a proper female anti-hero? And if so, if not, why not? Would Jessica Jones qualify? I'm not all that versed in the Jessica Jones character. I know she's like, what's that guy? What's that black dude who's unbreakable? Isn't she like the girlfriend of him or whatever? I don't know enough to say that that's really a workable answer, SKC, but anyway. So remember the Voodoo Witch in Pirates of the Caribbean? Sort of reminds me of where you're going. That is kind of, but she was basically evil. I like the entry right there. You get what I'm saying with this, right? She was basically evil because she was like, you know, the spirit of the ocean. You know, she was literally like the embodiment of a hurricane or something. So basically evil, but you get what I mean. Like, you really don't see a proper female anti-hero. La Femme Nikita. Oh, you know what? And this is why Donovan Warland is a channel that I recommend highly, especially if you're like nerdy and intellectual. You're into like parts of the culture like that. Thank you so much. La Femme Nikita might actually fit what I'm looking for as an answer to the query here. Because I remember the old La Femme Nikita. It was a movie, and I think it was a TV show briefly. But that was a great concept. You took a woman, basically kidnapped her, dropped her off into, like, you know, the Black Widow's Red Room training program. You made her a hitman, but she didn't really want to be a hitman. So now you have this sympathetic character who is kind of trying to be a good person, but not a good person. You know what? I think that kind of does work. That kind of does work. I like that one. I like we can settle on the La Femme Nikita as a good answer, because I like it anyway. If you guys got any other, no, Sigourney Weaver is another one. Straight up action hero, straight up female action hero character. Aeon Flux, another one, straight up action hero character. Aeon, she knows backstory and all that, but I don't get anti-hero from that because she's fighting against the, oppressive, futuristic, apocalyptic government system, right? So it's straight hero shit. I didn't see Gina Carano in that action movie, so I couldn't. That assassin movie, I'm not sure. I don't know about Mommy Dearest, but I'm pretty sure Mommy Dearest was an evil character. But anyway, I think we could end. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is a straight up evil psycho bitch. I would still take it down, but no. Harley Quinn would like Black Widow spider me. You hit that, you're gonna die in the coochie. But no. But I think La Femme Nikita was a great entry. Donovan Whirling with the last minute save there, because I was going to close the book on this little philosophical query here. The Long Kiss Goodnight. That when Donovan mentioned La Femme Nikita, Long Kiss Goodnight, it was something else that kind of popped in my mind as well. Kind of close, but I would put Long Kiss Goodnight as more traditional hero than anti-hero, but again, we're thinking the same thing. So I can't call you wrong for thinking it, but I think La Femme Nikita is a lot more on the nose. But Long Kiss Goodnight, it was in my mind, no lie. It was actually on my mind when he said Nikita. But yeah, the female anti-hero thing, just don't really hear much of. It's just something I don't know that's been done all that well. And the reason why we even got down this line of conversation is because they were talking about female characters being spiced up all this time. And the reason why I think the female anti-hero character is a good character that's just hard to do, perhaps, is because it's a very real woman. You can be sexy, you can be a sexual figure. You can have the masculine, psychotic, violent tendencies and all that. But that kind of pull toward the light is what makes it an anti-hero, I guess. And you don't really get that kind of depth and complexity with modern female characters. You get perfect bitches and Mary Sues, and that's what makes the modern female character suck nowadays. Donovan says, specifically the French version, the call for the cleaner is when she is made back into the woman she is, as Death himself shows up. Rough scene. Yes. You know what? Thank you guys for listening. We're going to wrap this one up tonight. Shout out to Donovan. It was great chatting with you a little bit about obscure culture things. But we're going to get out of here in this show on a high note. You guys have a great night. Hit that like button on your way out. I had a great time at this. I hope you guys had a great time as well. We're going to keep this up. This is how it's going to be most of the time. And then we're going to do Rumble stuff, and I'm going to catch you guys later. Have a good night. Peace, y'all.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.